What's up, everybody? Mike here, and welcome to the weekly gaming news, where it has been an insane, wild roller coaster of a week for the gaming industry, filled with both good and bad. I want to start with the positive stuff today, where there's some great success stories here going on with certain companies, but also later in the video we'll be going over the Helldivers 2 controversy, where you got different sides, people picking different sides on this thing, and honestly, I just want to bring this to light to give you guys, the details, because there definitely is that sector of people that just either are picking a side because they don't have the full information, and certain information is being misconstrued, etc. So yeah, more on that later in the video. But first, I want to kick things off with Manor surpassing 1 million copies sold, and this is very good for this one-person dev team. Congrats to them. So if you don't know, Manor kicked off its early access with a strong start, becoming an undeniable success on its first day, as well as one of the top indie games of 2024. If you're not yet familiar with this title, Manor is a city building and strategy game set in a medieval era, which clearly has been one of the major draws for many users. This could be attributed to its impressive graphics, as you can see in the trailer I'm showing right now. This early access is even more impressive when considering it's developed by Slavic Magic, a studio that had not released any games until now, and I believe it's just a one-man dev team, from what I've read about and heard. Noting here, a tweet by Hooded Horse: since yesterday's launch, Manor has already sold over 1 million copies and hit a peak Steam concurrent player count of 170,000, highest ever for a city builder. So big congrats to Manor for this. At this time right now, Manor is not confirmed yet versions for other platforms, but it is available on Steam right now. It's also available on Game Pass, of PC Game Pass, that is, if you want to play it that way, as well as save a bit of money on the game and try it out for yourself. Moving on, Starfield confirms expansion will arrive in the second half of the year. So for those of you that are still playing Starfield, or still excited about it, or still fanboying or fangirling out about this game, this should be good news for you. Starfield announces its first DLC called Shattered Space. This is confirmed by Todd Howard as well. In a recent interview he did. While Howard did not confirm a specific release date, he did state that it will be released in North America fall. So that begins September, right? So it could as easily come as early as September, but we'll have to wait and see. Details are scarce about this expansion, but supposedly from reports of, I believe from last December, Bethesda had mentioned that the expansion will add new story, new maps, and new equipment for the characters and more. Next up, Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance reveals gameplay and story details in its new trailer. So the latest trailer, titled An Ideal World, is helping gearing up for the release of this expanded version of the game. If you don't know, Vengeance comes to PC, Steam Deck, PS4, PS5, Xbox, and Switch in the style of Persona 5 Royal, with an expanded version and a new trailer by Alice and Sega. It's also noted that this version of Shin Megami Tensei 5 will add over 75 hours of new content to be the complete version of the RPG. And with the trailer being titled An Ideal World, the game's developer explores the deep story and canon of the game that many will enjoy once it hits the shelves. The definitive version of the acclaimed Shin Megami Tensei 5 returns, extended with a completely new story with new locations, demons, and dilemmas that will dictate the future of the universe. So stay tuned for this. Keep a lookout. It is coming in June. Next up, Lost Ark unveils the second part of the roadmap for 2024. Amazon has shared a new roadmap for the free MMORPG Lost Ark, detailing the most significant updates coming to the game during the months of May, June, and July of 2024. And if you've already been playing this game, been a loyal supporter of the game follower, then you'll notice this usual routine for these updates for the game. The current roadmap showcases the new content coming over the next 3 months, highlighting Thamon's Epilogue, the Guardian's Assault Trial on the Mountain, the Chaos Assault, and much more. Respectively, Thamon's Epilogue is a story that will be available to players who have completed the eponymous mission in hard mode, and it recounts the events related to the invasion of Arkesia by that character. The second part of the event arrives in June, when the desert region of Kurzan also debuts with the Arc of the Red Moon and the possible return of the demon Lord Kazaros, drastically changing the tone to something much more cheerful. In summary, we have the Maharaka Festival in July, takes us to a paradise located in the Sea of Gianna, where we will compete in charming swimming races. And it's just a preview, but of course, you would imagine there's going to be bug fixes, improvements, and other things that will be part of this updates as well too. All right, guys, so on to the first bit of bad news with this video today with the gaming news. So Square Enix suffers financial losses. This is a significant amount too, and very unfortunate to see this, and I hope Square Enix can turn this around. Square Enix, in light of this, as a result, Square Enix seems to have canceled some games in development. It was recently revealed that it suffered losses of $140 million due to content abandonment when making adjustments to products that were already in progress, and even last-minute cancellations in game design. The apparent reason is that the company intends to be more selective with its projects in the future. Square Enix has been one of the publishers with the most releases each year in recent years, including some of the best RPGs in history. Among new versions of its classics, major releases, and promising titles that fail to attract a large audience. They have offered a large number of video games every year. However, it seems that this is not the focus of the new CEO, Takashi Kiyu, who expressed the company should make fewer video games but better concentrate on their quality. You know what? I can get behind this because honestly, when you're just releasing too many video games but at a lower quality because you don't have enough time for the development and things like that, and you're just throwing money at the games, throwing money at the wall or whatever, hoping something will land when it comes to a success, that's not how game development works or should work. You know, when you take the time to properly invest the right resources into a game, you'll do well. I feel like with this approach, hopefully, Square Enix, you know, with this change in their process and shift in their focus when they're, you know, releasing games, they can release maybe a good solid 3 or 4 other games per year, like high quality games, whether it's like in a classic retro style, something like, you know, Octopath Traveler, and what I mean when I'm referencing to that, or something more of a high production value like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. The company expects to recognize approximately 22.1 billion yen in losses due to abandoned content for the fiscal year ended in March 2024. The same news release states, leaving no doubt, unfortunately, we don't have much information about which projects have been canceled. So yeah, that's a quote from the article here about it. And they definitely have, you know, projects going on beyond just Kingdom Hearts 4, beyond just the third Final Fantasy VII Remake, you know, whatever that's going to be called. There's been speculation of a Final Fantasy IX remake as well that may come to fruition, may not, I don't know. We don't know if that's been one of the canceled games. It was reported, even though exact numbers weren't given, but the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, for example, like sales have been fine, but still I think are under what Square Enix were expecting. And this makes sense in a way because of how things have been changing in the video game industry from a consumer standpoint as well too. There are a lot more people overall in the gaming community from a consumer standpoint that are speaking with their wallets, being vocal about other things that they got issues with. So, and that is a good thing because, you know, we as consumers, we ain't got money like we used to when it comes to spending all these games, especially these games costing $70 a pop for just a standard edition. And then also you got to think about how like Japan as a country with the culture there and other places, you know, are spending more of their time gaming on mobile devices. They're doing more mobile gaming in certain areas around the world, more so than console or PC gaming. So that's another factor. Now for the biggest fuck up of the week by Sony, mind you. I don't necessarily put too much blame on Arrowhead for this as a company, because one thing I want to make clear here, that a lot of people, you know, casual people, casual gamers, you know, people that type of mentality don't understand or fully know is that when it comes to the developer and publisher relationship, the dev team has very little, if not no say when it comes to a lot of decisions made about their game. That including the controversy, the debacle of what's been announced recently with Helldivers 2 on PC, requiring players to link their account to a PSN account. They want you to make a PSN account without having a PlayStation. In many cases, a lot of people that play on PC don't have a PlayStation whatsoever. And now, basically, Sony is forcing PC players, new owners of Helldivers 2, to link their Steam account with a PSN account by May 6th. And essentially for the long-time players who've been playing this since day one or within the first month of getting the game, will be forced to also link a PSN account to their Steam account by May 30th, I believe, because they're going to see a mandatory login for May 30th and will be required to have a linked Steam and PlayStation Network account by June 4th. This has pissed a lot of people off, rightfully so. Now, I do see it from both sides. You got the, you know, Sony defenders and loyalists like that speaking out about this. You also have the peace community speaking out about this who are against this. And you got people that are sort of neutral on this or just don't even know what the heck is even going on. At least not fully. But if you see here in this message, this tweet that Helldivers shared, this is the announcement they did, going over it. And their reasoning they're using is for safety. Due to technical issues, at the launch of Helldivers 2, we allowed the linking requirements for Steam accounts to PlayStation's network account to be temporarily optional, sorry. So this is optional, right, initially. And the grace period for that has expired. Now, some of you will probably say, well, yeah, or the might say, didn't they announce this when they first launched the game? And yeah, they most likely did. But regardless of the fact that, you know, they most likely did announce this being a thing that would happen later down the line, it does not change the fact that this is still, you know, a dick move by Sony. And this has led, as you can see here on Steam, to an overwhelmingly negative response by the PC community, with only 17% of these reviews that are recent reviews being positive. And it's a mixed, all reviews overall, with 49% being positive. And I want to showcase reasons why, because some of you guys may not understand why it's such a big deal. As I mentioned before earlier, to some people, this is, you know, a minor thing. This shouldn't be as big deal, blown up proportion like it should be, but to others, it is a major, huge issue. One of the big things here that caught my eye is I want to, you know, showcase here. I'm not going to list all these countries off, obviously, but this is a list of countries someone took the time to list where people cannot make a PSN account. And once again, I'm blaming Sony mainly for this, not Arrowhead, because Arrowhead, when it comes to the dev team, they have very little say over this. The publisher who is footing the bill, who is paying for the game to be made and paying for the majority of the post-launch support updates and anything like that of the game, are going to have final say. So herefore, Sony higher-ups, when it comes to this, have final say when it comes to Helldivers 2 and what they do with, because they are the publisher. Arrowhead as a studio doesn't really have much to do or say about this. Doesn't have much pull because they're like devs are like, think about it like this. Devs are like contractors or like mercenaries or whatever the heck. Like they are contracted to make said game, right, by the publisher. They may not even fully own said IP or may not own it at all in certain situations. So since they are contractually obligated to do certain things, they can't do anything about this. I feel bad for Arrowhead on this regard because they're not the only company that's been in a situation where they are forced by their publisher to do certain things they don't agree with. And this is a list of all the countries here. Someone took the time to point out in a Steam review that cannot make a PSN account, don't have access to it, which means already, Sony, you are losing a significant amount of your player base. And don't get me wrong, Helldivers 2 objectively is a fun, good game. And when it's all said and done, in terms of, it's a live service game too, right? And to me, does the live service model properly. It is one of the best examples of a live service model game because you can earn everything in game without spending a freaking dime. The other thing I want to bring up here that another reviewer did, and I'm glad they pointed this out, that maybe many of you don't realize or even notice happen, that a lot of people have been affected by, myself included, is the fact that since 2011, Sony PSN accounts, PSN itself, has been hacked several times over the years. This person right here listed April 2011, May 2011. You know, hackers access personal data, 70 million Sony PSN users. Personal details on 25 million Sony online entertainment customers stolen. June 2011, Sony Pictures website hacked, exposing 1 million accounts. November 2014, hackers steal 100 terabytes of data from Sony Pictures. August 2017, hacker group access to Sony's social media accounts. September 2023 and October 2023. Like, bro, a lot of the audience, myself included, are reluctant about this, are fighting back, we're pushing back because of these hack issues. And Sony's trying to use the excuse, this is for safety reasons and technical issues. This is for safety and security. I'm sorry, but that is a laughable statement, in my opinion. And you can disagree with me all you want, that's okay. You're entitled to your opinion, everybody is, that's fine. It's okay. It's fine to disagree, it's fine to have healthy discussions, you know, as long as you keep them healthy and not toxic, all right? I'm just simply stating and showcasing the facts of this situation here. Adding further to the whole, only access certain countries, this reviewer says you can purchase the game from all over the globe. You can only play it if you're in one of the Sony 69 approved countries. The 3 months of players who ain't from the list now have a brick of a game. How does that seem fair? This person's right. You cannot deny that. You do the research yourself if you don't believe me. If you don't believe what I'm showcasing here, research yourself. On the first day, this report by Steam DB, Helldivers received over 14,000 negative reviews to the update that require PSN accounts the next week. So this was just from like the first day, right? Obviously showed you from where it is now, currently, but this from the first day. This prompted the CEO himself to respond in a tweet like, ouch, right in the review score. Well, I guess it's warranted. Sorry, everyone, for how this is all transpired. Oh, we will make it up and regain the trust by providing a continued great game experience. I just want to make great games. And once again, to a certain level, I feel bad for Arrowhead. I feel bad for his CEO because, legally speaking, his hands are tied. He can't really do anything. Sony's forcing this, not Arrowhead. And as I mentioned before, people are, having a big issue with this and problem because of these Sony hacks over the several years. I personally had a situation where I almost lost all of my PSN stuff because I got hacked where the point my freaking login was changed. My login information was changed. And if I didn't catch it in time, I would have no longer have had access to my information, which would have led to possibly my, bank, my credit card or bank card getting freaking taking information from there and things like that, other stuff. And now I've had to implement a 2-step authentication thing now with my PSN account, as well as switch some things around when it comes to my login and personal information. So that way, to protect myself. I've had friends, and I've read about this too online, about people losing their entire accounts because of these hacks in the past. And I've had friends who have gone through their own issues where they just deactivated their PSN account for similar reasons. And this is even crazy too when you got a community manager from Arrowhead who is taking it out on the community. And don't get me wrong, I get it. When you are a dev and you're essentially having your community or certain members of the community like say certain things that gets under your skin or verbally attack you, things like that, it is going to affect you. But you have to remain professional because what you do represents the company, represents your CEO on a certain level, all that. And apparently this person Spitz, who is a community manager, responds to someone in Discord about this. And the person that, was talking about this Eternal Sweet is saying this will kill Helldivers 2 on Steam, backpedal or lose your player base. He is essentially giving constructive feedback. He's not wrong for saying what he's saying. He's not being belligerent towards the community manager at all. He's not using any cursing. He's not trying to, he's not being toxic, in my opinion, about this, right? But the community manager responds with, I thought you were refunded and leaving. I'm sorry. That is not how you handle that. No. And then proceeds to also say, it's not like this is the first time or even the 14th mainstream game to require a third-party account that takes a couple minutes to create. But if it's a deal breaker to have to take 120 seconds out of your day to enter an email and password and then forget about it, change your Steam review and make your displeasure known on a platform where it matters. That is not cool. This to me can be taken to an extreme level of like your community manager basically said, stop whining, fuck you, or fuck your opinion. Essentially telling the community or certain community members, fuck your opinion. Or stop being a baby or stop being a crybaby and this and that. That is not how you handle this properly. And honestly, I'm thinking at this point, he's probably issuing an apology or whatnot about the situation. I think I heard that he's probably offered an apology, but still, this is unacceptable. I get it. Like I said, the fan base, the player base can come off in toxic ways, but the person that he initially, responded to, in my opinion, wasn't being toxic. The person was trying to offer constructive criticism. And yet, the dev, Spitz, the community manager, decided to respond in the manner he did. That's not cool. So, and I believe also they are, certain Arrowhead community managers and other people from Arrowhead are urging people to essentially reach out to Sony, essentially make their, complaints and disagreements and all that stuff known to Sony, so that way maybe that'll push Sony to revert back on this decision and, you know, basically show pushback to Sony, because ultimately it is a Sony decision. It's not an Arrowhead decision. Legally, Arrowhead cannot do nothing about this. Sony has to be the one to make the change and, you know, basically based on the backlash, change their minds. Will they? I highly doubt it, because look what they did with raising the prices for the yearly PS Plus subscription. Did they change their mind about that yet, despite the backlash? No. I don't foresee Sony changing their minds about this either. I really don't. They have been known to be a company that barely ever changes the decisions they make. And forget about a refund. I think Steam is offering refunds even beyond the 2 hours of playtime that people give. So reach out to Steam support that way. So that way you can try to get a refund if you are one of those people that wants a refund for this game. Because I think that's smart by Steam, because they're trying to cover their asses in this situation. And I honestly respect them for it and appreciate that. And I understand from a business standpoint, it might be like the smartest thing to do. And maybe they got to do it to cover their asses. But yeah, like, this is crazy, guys. I wanted to shed some light on this. I want to offer some clarification. And yeah, in my personal opinion and where I stand, yeah, I'm not playing Helldivers 2 anymore. I've uninstalled already. I've got friends that I talked to about this. They've already said they're not going to play this anymore either. They've uninstalled it. You know, that's where I stand. Unless this decision gets changed or reverted back, and they figure out a better way to handle this that doesn't require a PSN linking account situation, when you got to keep in mind that it's been optional for every other Sony game that has been released on Steam. Mind you, yes, those are single-player games, majority of those. I'm not sure if Ghost of Tsushima is going to require a PSN linking account situation because of the Legends mode multiplayer. I don't know if that's been confirmed yet or not. Let me know in the comments below. But yeah, that is where we're at with this, and it is insane. Lastly, I want to leave off with some Elden Ring news when it comes to Shadow Erdtree. Miyazaki confirms that Shadow Erdtree will be the only DLC, which, if you think about it, makes a lot of sense. I know the fans probably want more than one DLC, but if you think about it, with it being priced at $40, it is going to be a very sizable expansion. And I love to compare this to how Capcom treated Monster Hunter World as well as Monster Hunter Rise with their expansions being like $40 and added a significant amount of content. I would say around 75% of the base game in terms of overall content. So my speculation is that Miyazaki and his team are going to do the same thing here. They're going to possibly add roughly 75% in terms of the basing content into the DLC expansion. And this is in an interview recently that Miyazaki did, speaking about Elden Ring and confirming that Shadow Erdtree is the first and last DLC. We have no plans to add more content to Elden Ring. Miyazaki explained what led the team to make this decision as well in the interview, basically emphasizing that Elden Ring emphasizes exploration and adventure in a vast world. To provide that experience, a large and expansive setting is inevitably needed. So instead of dividing it into several parts, it was simply better to create a large expansion. If sold separately, the freedom of exploration and the sense of adventure would be diminished. And I agree with him on this, because you got to think, in comparison to like Bloodborne, Dark Souls 3, really all the Dark Souls games, honestly, the DLCs were, you know, I would say priced appropriately at the time, and were still a lot of amount of content in their own right. And the Dark Souls games and Bloodborne were small scale games. They were not open world games. They're more of a Metroidvania linear type experience of affair, basically. And the DLCs, with how much content he offered, you know, were good representations of that and expand upon the gameplay, lore, weapons, and everything else in those games. And for the scale of those games, added a significant amount of content. So I would ask you to trust in what Miyazaki is doing with this. You know, don't worry about it. He's going to give you your money's worth based on my experience with his games, based on what I've been reading about and my, you know, knowledge of this. Now, Miyazaki did not rule out returning to Elden Ring universe in another game. He was asked about the future of the title as a franchise, and Miyazaki simply stated that the studio intentionally leaves the endings of his games open-ended. And that is true to an extent, because like, at least when it comes to, you know, the games that they've made and been published by Bandai Namco, when it comes to Bloodborne, it is a different story though, because it's up to Sony, because Sony is the publisher and owns the IP. From Software does not. From Software has, you know, essentially fought to own Sekiro Shadows Die Twice IP. They now own the Elden Ring IP as well. I'm not too sure about the Dark Souls franchise, if they own that IP or not, but, you know, all their games are definitely left open-ended to see if there will be a sequel and things like that to them. So I honestly hope there is a sequel to Elden Ring. I love the Elden Ring game. It is like one of my favorite games of all time, and like just a masterpiece of a game, honestly. And I can't wait to try out the Shadow Earth Tree DLC. I know a lot of you guys are excited about it as well, like me. And yeah, like, does this upset you? Does this concern you? Like, oh man, you wanted more or not? Or does this make sense to you? Because to me, this makes sense, because they also have a lot of other projects going on. I believe they got a new IP that's supposed to be a Sony exclusive in the works in the future. Hopefully Sony doesn't do the same thing with if that's a cross-play title or anything like that in some way. I don't know. But I also feel like From Software has somewhat of enough pull where they probably wouldn't let that slide if Sony try to do something like that. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But then again, you know, they made Demon Souls and Bloodborne for them, the original versions, I mean, of those games, for Sony, and those have never released on PC. So, and if there ever is going to be a Bloodborne remake or a Bloodborne remaster, and it comes out on PC, be concerned if you might have to link a PSN account just to play a Bloodborne remaster remake on PC, guys. Now this is concerning based on what's going on with Helldivers 2. I'm sorry I had to bring it up, but that's just the reality of what is going on and the possibility of what could be happening in the future. For those of us that want a Bloodborne remaster remake to happen or to be put on PC. Now I don't even know if I want to be put on PC because of this whole Helldivers 2 situation crap. I don't know. We'll have to see. Who knows? Because Bloodborne does have that multiplayer component to it. It's not crossplay either, though. So maybe you won't have to worry about that since it's not crossplay. We'll have to wait and see, though. But that's been the game news of the week. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below about stuff you're excited about, concerned about, things like that. Please like the video if you did enjoy this, and subscribe if you're new. My name's Mike. Thanks for watching.